Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today, we are talking about something that has been a huge point of conversation in the tech and really just everywhere in the world, which is, of course, the looming TikTok ban by the US government. I haven't really covered it on this show because, of course, we're not a general tech show, even though it's been lurking around the horizon and has been such a dominant force. However, I thought today, as the ban officially looms, that it would be worth discussing at least this one specific dimension about it, which was encapsulated in a piece by Fast Company yesterday. One reason the US government is so spooked by TikTok: AI. So here's the TLDR for those who haven't been paying attention, although I would be very surprised if you guys weren't pretty up to speed on this. There has been a long-term conversation around whether TikTok should be banned in the United States. Many in Washington consider the app a national security risk because it could be used to spy on millions of Americans and spread propaganda. The issue here is, of course, that the app's parent company, ByteDance, is based in China. Now, ByteDance claims that the user data is stored in the US, but has been non-committal about whether they share data with the Chinese government. Lawmakers haven't been all that clear around exactly why they consider TikTok's user data such a serious national security concern, which, for what it's worth, has caused a ton of consternation among TikTok's users. But Mark Sullivan of Fast Company has put together a theory that it all has to do with AI-powered content. He presented the view from a Washington insider that China is playing the long game with TikTok. The key innovation with TikTok, while initially about a type of short-form video that creates effectively video or audio memes, its success was really about its recommendation algorithm. TikTok is unbelievably powerful at serving people content that's going to interest them, even if they're not sure or couldn't articulate why they would be interested. If you've ever been flipping through TikTok, scrolling through your For You page, their algorithm takes into account not just things like likes and comments, but micro signals, like how much longer you watch one video as opposed to your average with every other video. TikTok will then test aggressively, serving you a barrage of somewhat related content, all of which is, on the one hand, extraordinarily effective at keeping attention, and positively, people would say, discovering things that are going to be of interest to you. But from a more negative side, nothing that we've ever seen more aggressively accentuates the problem of filter bubbles. I'm a weird one for someone like TikTok, because I genuinely like checking out news from all political perspectives to see how different people are responding to the same event. And I can watch TikTok try to lead me down either conservative rabbit holes on the one hand or liberal rabbit holes on the other in ways that are subtle, powerful, and in some cases insidious. Anyways, the point is that, again, the key innovation with TikTok is about its algorithm, and the concern is that that capability only increases as AI models improve. Sullivan's source says that the key concern is that, quote, because AI makes generating content cheaper, the Chinese government might be able to leverage what it knows about each TikTok user and generate content for them that's specially tailored to persuade them. In fact, one thing that the author of this piece muses that is totally true is that the mobilization of young people trying to avoid the ban going into force is, in fact, a demonstration that the platform can coalesce political power. One of the funnier and frankly more quintessentially American behaviors in this story is, rather than simply accepting their concern around China stealing our data, US TikTok users have instead en masse decided to go download a similar app that is explicitly owned by the Chinese Communist Party called RedNote. It has been, through most of this week, the #1 most downloaded app on Android and iPhone, and shows the true magnitude of not only our rebelliousness, but our petulance. Anyway, let's talk about this idea of being able to mass generate personally tailored content for tens of millions of people. Right now, it's not totally possible, but it's also not far away. In fact, one of the reasons that I think we're not going to see massive job loss is things like personally tailored content that are just going to radically expand how much stuff has to get produced. Part of why this reality is getting closer is just the rate of improvement when it comes to generative video. Then again, assuming individually tailored content does arrive much faster than most people think, it opens up an entirely new can of worms. TikTok is far from the only platform that could be leveraged in the way the Washington insider from this story is concerned about. Data on user preferences isn't particularly difficult to come by, and the question is, will the advent of customized content mean that data privacy shifts to becoming a generalized national security issue? Could it lead finally to some form of Internet Bill of Rights, or a change in the way that privacy is viewed on a societal level? I'm pretty pessimistic, but David Green, the Civil Liberties Director at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, thinks it's well past time for that kind of policy. He said, because of Congress's failure to enact comprehensive consumer privacy legislation, corporations from around the world are free to harvest Americans' data, store it forever, and then monetize it through ever-expanding uses and sales. The ban or forced sale of one social media app will do virtually nothing to protect Americans' data privacy from another country. Ultimately, the Biden administration has made it extremely clear, and this seems to be something that they will have in common with the Trump administration, that AI development is an arms race that could be just as important as something like nuclear weapons. And yet it's becoming clearer and clearer that that arms race is not just about AI-enhanced weaponry. The AI wars are going to be information wars, and TikTok may be the first battleground in that conflict. Now, in terms of what happens next, this morning, just before I started recording, the US Supreme Court upheld the ban. At the same time, however, the Biden administration has said that it doesn't plan to enforce the law ahead of inauguration, which should theoretically keep the app online for the time being rather than it being shut down on Sunday. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, there is a ton of scuttlebutt around who might be in a position to buy the app should the US divestiture go through. Elon Musk has been bandied around. Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, has apparently spent the weekend at Mar-a-Lago trying to convince President Trump that he's the one to take over TikTok. And then more recently, Mr. Beast has been using his huge following to advocate that he should have a seat at this table as well. Now, at this stage, TikTok has given absolutely no indication that they're actually interested in selling, so that's a whole different question. And the X factor, as so often is the case, is President-elect Trump. At this stage, the CEO of TikTok is planning to attend Trump's inauguration. So what the heck this all means is anybody's guess. We'll have to wait and see until at least next week. For now, that is going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Until next time, peace